I'm Jen. I draw stuff. Today I'm going to be working on a piece that I drew and did the flats on last year that I need to finish up the shading. So I'm going to do some soft shading and some bounce light, and I'm going to add some depth of field to the end when I get done. So for the lighting on this, they're underneath this tree, and the sun is kind of coming from this way, and so there's going to be some general soft shadows to the underside of everything and then to this side of everything, but there's a lot of light that's bouncing up from the ground, from the cloth, the picnic blanket that's beneath them, and from the wall that's beside them. So even though, you know, they're in the sun, or they're kind of in the shade, but even though they're outdoors, there's still going to be kind of this soft, diffuse lighting because of all the bright surfaces that the light's coming from. And the other reason that I want to do a soft lighting is because, well, it's just prettier. So when you use harsh shadows, it can give a sense of drama, or it can give a sense of severity or seriousness. But when you're lighting especially small children, they're round and soft and squishy, and you really don't want those hard shadows on them, or you're going to end up with like Children of the Corn, and nobody wants that. So to make sure that these kids stay cute and soft and round and bubbly, and to make sure that she stays very pretty, which you see she's already very soft in the shading. It's not finished, but her skin is done. We're gonna make sure to throw some of that bounce light in and get some good like rim lights on there, and keep everything very, very bright and warm and cheerful. So even with some soft diffuse lighting, one of the things that I'm going to focus on is self-shadowing, or the more technical term being ambient occlusion. So what that is when you have two surfaces that come together. So it could be two hands resting on top of one another, or a chair leg sitting on the floor. Regardless of what direction the light is coming from, the crevice between these two things, just like the crevice between my two fingers, is always going to be in shadow, because no matter where the light is coming from, these two surfaces block the light from each other. So you have a self-shadow or an ambient occlusion, so it occludes or blocks the ambient light. So that's the predominant source of shadows in this piece, is going to be those ambient occlusions, because there is such soft diffuse light coming from so many different directions. So I'm actually really nervous about shading the kids. So the first time I drew this little toddler, she actually looked like Hillary Clinton, which is a very strange thing for a toddler. So kids are really hard. They have, you know, face proportions that are very different to adults, and to what I'm used to, and shading them is a very, very delicate issue, right? I don't want her to look creepy or weird or like a tiny old lady. I want her to look like a toddler. So to sort of soften this up, I'm going to color the line art just kind of really quickly. I don't want it to totally disappear, but I want it to be more subtle. Which is actually kind of cute. Baby fat rolls are about the most adorable thing ever. So now that I've got the kids all shaded, it's time to work on the background. So the wall of this house is supposed to be sort of a stucco looking finish, and then with some wood and this mound of stone that almost looks like the house was grown up out of it. So I have some pre-made wood texture that I have created, and I'm going to just apply that to the wood around the window because I'm lazy and I already made it, so why make it again? I'm not worried about being too precise with the background shading because I'm going to add some depth of field that's going to blur it all out anyway. So there's no point in spending an excessive amount of time making it look perfect and pretty when it's really just going to be more of an impression of what the background is. So I made a duplicate of all the layers in my file and converted them to grayscale, and then I adjusted the brightness of them to create a depth map. So in the depth map, everything that is solid black will be in focus, and everything that is solid white will be completely out of focus, and the shades of gray in between are how in focus that particular layer will be. So you can use, gradients, solid fills, and adjust everything until you get it just the way that you want it, and then you apply that as a layer mask. You just paste it into a layer mask on a flattened version of your image, and then you do a lens blur and you use the layer mask as the source, and it will leave your, in this case, characters perfectly clear, and the things in the foreground and the things in the background get increasingly blurrier the further they get away from the characters. So it's a really neat technique that kind of gives you this photo feel, and also removes the need to be quite so detailed with the background, but at the same time being able to have that control of it looking like, well, you really painted it, which, you did, just not blurry. There we go. Just added some shadows from the trees, and I think that's done. All that's left is to sign it and send it to my customer. If you enjoyed this video, I really enjoyed painting this, and I really hope that she likes it as much as I enjoyed doing it. If you'd like to see more videos like this, please subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Doodles!